In Genesis chapter 41, Joseph is catapulted out of prison. Here are the circumstances. Pharaoh has two disturbing dreams that he knows are meaningful. However, no one's able to interpret them. At that point, Pharaoh's butler, who had had a dream that Joseph had correctly interpreted, recalls how Joseph had been used to unlock his own mysteries, and he tells Pharaoh about Joseph. This brings us to verse 14. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him quickly out of the dungeon. And he shaved, changed his clothing, and came to Pharaoh. So Pharaoh sends for Joseph. It's been 13 years since Joseph had been sold into slavery. And all of a sudden, the call comes for Joseph to appear before Pharaoh. Some huge opportunities in life may come when we least expect it. Let's be faithful, as Joseph has been faithful. And let's be ready, as Joseph has been ready. Pharaoh now speaks with Joseph. Here's what we see in verses 15 and 16. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it. But I have heard it said of you that you can understand a dream, to interpret it. So Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. God will give Pharaoh an answer of peace. So Pharaoh tells Joseph he had a dream, and no one's able to interpret it, and he's heard of Joseph's ability to interpret dreams. Joseph humbly deflects credit to God. It's God who unlocks deep mysteries. Now, later in this chapter, Pharaoh does share his dreams, and Joseph is used by God to interpret them. 7 years of plenty for Egypt, followed by 7 years of famine. Joseph follows up his interpretations with God-given advice. Appoint a prime minister to oversee the storing of produce during the 7 plentiful years, and the distribution of produce during the 7 years of famine. Pharaoh then appoints Joseph to the position of prime minister over the land of Egypt, second only to Pharaoh. Here are two of Joseph's wonderful qualities we see in the verses we've read. One is readiness, and the other is humility. Regarding readiness, after 13 years of hardship, being sold as a slave, working as a slave, being falsely accused, and spending an extended time in prison, Joseph is ready, with no notice, to be used by God to interpret Pharaoh's dreams. Regarding humility, Joseph has the opportunity to take credit for the ability to interpret dreams, but he immediately gives all glory to God. Like Joseph, let's be those who are ready to be used by God at any time, even when we least expect it. And let's be those who are humble, who give God the glory for every good thing we do, knowing that it's God who enables us and God who opens up the doors of opportunity in our lives. Thanks for listening.